At 65, life slows down in ways you never quite expect. The house becomes quieter, mornings stretch a little longer, and there are moments when you realize just how much of your day used to revolve around other people. It is a bittersweet kind of quiet. Living alone teaches you things you might never learn otherwise, about yourself, about time, and most surprisingly, about friendship. You start noticing which friendships stood the test of time and which ones quietly faded away. Some disappear naturally, without anger or blame, like leaves falling from a tree when the season changes. Others, you find yourself stepping away from, not out of bitterness, but because they no longer nourish who you are becoming. After 65, friendship is no longer about how many people you know or how busy your calendar looks. It becomes something deeper. It is about connection, presence, and a shared understanding that time is too precious for anything less than genuine companionship. In this video, I want to share with you 6 heartfelt lessons that living alone has taught me about friendship. Lessons that may surprise you, comfort you, and hopefully inspire you to rethink the way you build and nurture relationships at this beautiful stage of life. Stay with me, because your next great friendship story may just be waiting to begin. If you find these reflections meaningful, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heart-to-heart conversations like this. I would also love to hear from you. How has your circle of friends changed after 60? Please share in the comments below. Your story could inspire someone else who is walking a similar path. Lesson 1. Not all friendships are meant to last forever. When you have lived over 6 decades, you collect a lifetime of friendships. Some began in childhood, others through work, church, or neighbors. You share birthdays, weddings, long conversations, and silent understandings. It feels like these bonds should last forever. But living alone teaches a tender and difficult truth. Not all friendships are meant to travel every part of your journey with you. It is not that these friendships were fake or that the love was any less real. It is simply that people grow, and sometimes they grow in different directions. As you age, your needs, your routines, even your energy change. And with those changes, you start noticing that some friendships no longer fit as easily as they once did. Helen, a vibrant 68-year-old widow, discovered this the hard way. After her husband passed, she expected her old circle of friends to rally around her. Some did, but many did not. Dinners out turned into polite cancellations. Phone calls were returned less and less. Invitations that once filled her calendar seemed to vanish overnight. At first, Helen blamed herself. Maybe she had become less fun. Maybe people felt uncomfortable around her new reality of grief and solitude. But with time, Helen realized something deeper. Many of those friendships had been tied to the rhythms of her old life. Double dates, couples dinners, Sunday brunches. When her life shifted, so did the foundation those friendships were built upon. Living alone, Helen learned to look at these changes not as betrayals, but as natural endings. Just as seasons change and flowers bloom and fade, friendships also have their time. Some are meant to walk with you for decades. Others are meant to share a single beautiful chapter before gently fading away. It is easy to feel abandoned when friendships slip away, but here is the truth. Their fading does not diminish the joy they once brought. Those memories still matter. Those laughs, those shoulders you leaned on, those long afternoons in the sun, they were real, they were important. They simply belonged to another time and another version of you. The emotional takeaway is this: grieving lost friendships is a sign of a heart that loved well. But holding on too tightly can keep you from opening space for new, richer, and more soul-nourishing connections that align with the person you are today. If you find yourself quietly grieving friendships that have slipped away, honor them, maybe even write them a letter you never send, thanking them for the role they played. Then gently, kindly, allow yourself to step forward. There are new friendships waiting for you, ones that fit the beautiful, wiser, stronger person you have become. Because friendship after 65 is not about clinging to what was, it is about welcoming what can be with arms and heart wide open. Let us now move to Lesson 2, where we will explore how loneliness teaches you what you truly need. Lesson 2. Loneliness teaches you what you truly need. There is a moment, often unexpected, that comes after living alone for a while. It usually arrives quietly, maybe in the middle of a long afternoon with only your own thoughts for company, or on a night when the silence feels heavier than usual. It is the moment you realize that being alone and feeling lonely are two very different things, and even more importantly, it is the moment you begin to see what your heart truly needs in friendship. Arthur, a soft-spoken 73-year-old retired teacher, experienced this firsthand. After his wife passed, Arthur found himself surrounded by acquaintances, people to have coffee with, neighbors who waved politely, old co-workers who sent the occasional holiday card. On the surface, it seemed like he was doing fine. He was keeping busy, as people like to say. But inside, Arthur felt a hollowness that casual conversation could not fill. One evening, after a particularly quiet weekend, Arthur realized the truth. He was not craving more company. He was craving deeper connection. He missed the feeling of being truly known, of sharing dreams, fears, and memories with someone who listened not just with their ears but with their heart. Living alone has a way of stripping away distractions. Without the noise of daily obligations or surface-level socializing, you come face to face with your own emotional needs. You start noticing that some interactions leave you feeling drained, while others leave you feeling seen and understood. You realize that time is too precious to spend with people who do not truly nourish your spirit. The insight here is powerful. Loneliness is not simply the absence of people, it is the absence of meaningful connection. And understanding this is the first step toward building the kind of friendships that truly matter. Arthur took small but intentional steps toward change. Instead of saying yes to every casual invite, he started seeking out spaces where deeper conversations were welcome. A book club at his local library, a men's discussion group at his church. Over time, he met others who were also seeking more than just small talk, people who were eager to share stories, hopes, and heartaches without judgment. The emotional takeaway is clear. Your heart knows what it needs. Loneliness is not your enemy, it is your guide. It shows you where the gaps are, where healing is needed, and where new friendships can take root if you are willing to listen and follow. If you are feeling lonely, do not rush to simply fill the space with busyness or new faces. Pause and ask yourself, what am I truly longing for? Is it laughter, understanding, a shared history, new adventures? Once you know what you truly need, you can open your life to friendships that offer not just company, but true companionship. Because at 65 and beyond, you deserve friendships that fill your soul, not just your schedule. Coming up next is Lesson 3, where we will uncover why vulnerability is the secret key to building stronger bonds. Lesson 3. Vulnerability builds stronger bonds. There is a misconception that grows stronger with age, the belief that we must always appear strong, composed, and unbothered. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that showing our true feelings is a sign of weakness, something to be hidden behind polite smiles and quick subject changes. But living alone teaches a humbling truth. Real connection is not built through perfection, it is built through vulnerability. Margaret, a 70-year-old former nurse, learned this lesson in the quiet aftermath of retirement. She had spent decades caring for others, always the strong one, the dependable one, the listener. After she moved into her own small apartment, she found herself attending social gatherings and luncheons with old friends. Yet even surrounded by familiar faces, she often felt strangely invisible. Conversations stayed light and safe. The weather, health updates, neighborhood gossip. She smiled, nodded, contributed a funny story now and then. But inside, Margaret felt a growing ache, a sense that no one really knew her anymore. One evening, after a long and particularly hollow dinner with friends, Margaret made a decision. She decided to stop hiding. The next time she met a friend for coffee, she spoke honestly. She shared her fears about growing older alone, her worries about losing relevance, her dreams of traveling to places she had never dared to visit. At first, she was terrified. Would her honesty push people away? Would she be seen as needy, weak, or burdensome? Instead, something beautiful happened. Her friend leaned in, listened deeply, and then quietly shared her own fears, her own longings, her own hidden dreams. That conversation, Margaret later said, felt like the first real friendship she had experienced in years. It was messy, heartfelt, and breathtakingly human. The insight here is simple but powerful. Surface conversations may keep relationships polite, but vulnerability makes them meaningful. When you share your real self, your hopes, your fears, your messy, imperfect heart, you invite others to do the same. You create a bridge of trust, a sanctuary where both people can rest from the exhausting work of pretending to have it all together. The emotional takeaway is this: vulnerability is not weakness. It is the birthplace of real connection. True friendships are not built by impressing others. They are built by letting others see who you really are. If you struggle with opening up, start small. Share a memory that makes you emotional. Admit when you are having a hard day. Tell someone about a dream you still hold close. Notice who leans in, who listens without judgment, and who responds with their own honesty. Those are the friendships worth nurturing. Because after 65, we no longer have time for pretend friendships. We need relationships that are real, relationships that hold space for both laughter and tears, both strength and vulnerability. Let us now look at Lesson 4, where we will explore why having different types of friends for different seasons of life is not only normal but necessary. Lesson 4. You need different types of friends for different seasons. One of the quiet realizations that comes from living alone is that no single friendship can meet every need. Life itself moves in seasons, times of joy, times of grief, times of transition. And as those seasons shift, so too do the types of friendships that nourish our hearts most deeply. Frank, a 75-year-old retired postman, discovered this after his wife passed, and he moved into a small condo across town. At first, he tried to keep his friendships exactly as they had been. He called his old bowling buddies, invited neighbors over for dinner, tried to stay involved in the same activities. But something felt different. Some friends were wonderful for sharing laughs, but grew uncomfortable when conversations turned serious. Others were great listeners, but struggled to join him for simple outings like a trip to the park or a lunch downtown. At first, Frank felt frustrated. Was something wrong with him? Were his friends drifting away? But over time, he saw the truth more clearly. Different friends serve different roles in our lives, and that is not only natural, it is healthy. Some friends, Frank realized, were light friends, companions for a coffee date, a movie night, a shared laugh about the day's news. They lifted his spirits without demanding too much emotional depth. Others were deep friends, the ones he could call at midnight when the grief was heavy or when he needed to talk about the aches that settled deeper than the bones. Neither type of friendship was better or worse. They simply met different needs. And understanding this helped Frank appreciate each friend for who they were, without expecting one person to be everything. The insight here is freeing. Expecting a single friend to meet every emotional, social, and practical need sets both of you up for disappointment. True connection comes from embracing the many different kinds of friendships life offers. The lighthearted ones, the soulful ones, the adventurous ones, the steady and loyal ones. The emotional takeaway is this: by welcoming different types of friends into your life, you create a rich, colorful tapestry of support. Each friendship brings its own gift, its own lesson, its own moment of joy or comfort, exactly when you need it most. If you find yourself feeling disappointed that a friend cannot meet every expectation, pause and reframe the story. Ask yourself, what unique gift does this person bring to my life? Maybe they are the friend who makes you laugh until your sides hurt. Maybe they are the one who sits quietly beside you in your darkest moments. Maybe they are the spontaneous spirit who pulls you out of your comfort zone. Appreciating each friendship for what it is, not resenting it for what it is not, allows you to build a circle of support that is stronger, richer, and far more enduring. Because after 65, we deserve friendships that honor all the beautiful seasons of our lives, not just the easy ones. Coming up next is Lesson 5, where we will explore why effort matters more than you think in keeping meaningful friendships alive. Lesson 5. Effort matters more than you think. When we are young, friendships often feel effortless. We stumble into them at school, at work, or through shared activities. Time and proximity do most of the heavy lifting. But after 65, living alone reveals a new reality. Meaningful friendships do not just happen. They require care, intention, and yes, real effort. Joyce, a lively 69-year-old grandmother, noticed this shift after she retired and moved closer to her daughter's family. She had imagined her days filled with visits from old friends, spontaneous lunches, and plenty of phone calls. But as weeks turned into months, she realized that if she wanted to keep friendships alive, she had to be the one reaching out. At first, Joyce felt hurt. She wondered why others were not calling or visiting more often. Did they not care? Was she being forgotten? But over time, she saw something she had not expected. Her friends were just as busy navigating their own lives, their own transitions, their own invisible struggles. It was not a lack of love that kept them distant. It was simply life moving forward in different directions. So Joyce decided to become intentional. She set reminders to call her friends regularly, even if just for a few minutes. She wrote birthday cards by hand, not just quick texts. She organized small coffee dates or sent articles she thought might brighten someone's day. None of these gestures were grand. They were small, almost ordinary, but they were powerful. One evening, after hosting a casual potluck for a few close friends, Joyce realized that the effort she had invested had quietly blossomed into something beautiful. Her friendships felt deeper, more genuine, and far more precious. She was not waiting to be invited into someone else's life. She was building a life where friendship had room to grow. The insight here is both simple and profound. Friendships, like gardens, flourish with steady tending. Without that, even the strongest bonds can quietly wither under the weight of time and neglect. The emotional takeaway is this: waiting for others to reach out first is a lonely way to live. Love is kept alive not through grand gestures, but through small, consistent acts of kindness and attention. If you are feeling isolated or disconnected, ask yourself, when was the last time I reached out? When was the last time I made the first move, not out of obligation, but out of love? Even a simple message, a small invitation, or a shared memory can be a bridge that pulls two hearts closer again. Because after 65, the friendships that endure are the ones we choose to nourish, moment by moment, gesture by gesture, heart to heart. Let us now move forward to Lesson 6, where we will discover why it is never too late to start over and build beautiful new friendships, no matter your age. Lesson 6. It is never too late to start over. There is a quiet fear that settles in for many people after 65, the fear that the best chapters of friendship are behind them. After living alone for a while, it is easy to wonder if new bonds are even possible, if anyone new could ever truly understand the journey you have walked. But the beautiful truth is this: it is never too late to start over. Eleanor, a 74-year-old retired librarian, found herself facing this fear when she moved to a new town after her husband's passing. Leaving behind the familiar streets, the neighbors who knew her story, and the coffee shop where she had spent countless afternoons, felt like losing pieces of herself. She worried that at her age, friendships were already set in stone, formed decades ago, and impossible to recreate. For the first few months, Eleanor kept mostly to herself, filling her days with books and solitary walks. But one evening, after a particularly lonely weekend, she made a decision. She signed up for a local storytelling class at the library. It felt small, almost insignificant. She told herself she would just sit quietly in the back, but something surprising happened. During the first session, Eleanor met Claire, a 71-year-old widow with a laugh that could fill a room. They swapped stories, shared memories, and before long were meeting outside of class for tea and long conversations. Through Claire, Eleanor met others, neighbors, classmates, fellow library patrons. Slowly, a new circle of friendships began to form. It was different from the friendships of her youth. It was slower, gentler, richer. These were friendships built not on shared history, but on shared hope. Hope that there was still laughter to be had, still adventures to be dreamed, still memories waiting to be made. The insight here is simple but life-changing. Your capacity for connection does not expire with age. Your heart remains ready for new beginnings, if you are willing to open the door. The emotional takeaway is this: fear tells you that you are too old, too set in your ways, too late for new friendships. But hope tells you that there are still people out there waiting to meet someone exactly like you, someone with your stories, your wisdom, your warmth. If you are feeling isolated or stuck, take a small step. Attend a class, join a community group, volunteer, or simply start a conversation with someone new. You do not need to rush or force anything. Just be open. Because after 65, life is not about chasing crowds or popularity. It is about finding the few precious souls who meet you where you are, walk beside you in this new season, and remind you that connection is timeless. Let us now move into the final reflection, where we will gather all these lessons into a heartfelt closing thought. As we journey through life after 65, living alone reveals truths that are both tender and transformative. It teaches us that friendships are not measured by the number of years, but by the depth of connection. It shows us that letting go of what no longer fits makes space for something new, something richer. It reminds us that loneliness is not a sentence but a signal, a gentle nudge to seek out the companionship our hearts truly need. Friendship at this stage of life is no longer about quantity or convenience. It is about authenticity, vulnerability, and effort. It is about accepting that different friends meet different needs, and that love, when tended with care, can blossom at any age. Most of all, it is about hope, the belief that even now, perhaps especially now, there are new hands to hold, new stories to share, and new laughter to be found. If you have felt lonely, overlooked, or forgotten, please remember this: your story is not over. Your heart still has chapters left to write. And somewhere out there, someone is hoping to meet a friend exactly like you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If these lessons touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It helps us continue creating heartfelt content just for you. I would also love to hear from you. Which lesson resonated most with you? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story could inspire someone else who is searching for connection, just like you. Until next time, remember, it is never too late to find friendship, love, and belonging. Stay hopeful, stay open, and keep moving forward.